Ladies and gentlemen, let's deal with this head on. Let's talk about drugs. This is one of those subjects where everybody has an opinion. But most of those opinions are soft, sentimental, or flat out hypocritical. Let's strip it down to the facts.
The ultimate tongue lasher, the voice corrupt leaders dread. He shall not stop until their power is dead. Exposing every corrupt leader and every lie. With steel in his spirit, corruption will die. Corrupt leaders will tremble, the crooked will fall. Honor is the standard, integrity for all. Truth is his weapon, with fire in every word. His voice is the judgment, and justice will be served.
We punish drug dealers as if they are monsters. We coddle drug users as if they are helpless little children. But the truth is, both sides are wrong, and both sides need to be held accountable. Let's start with the user. Before you ever touch a drug, you already know. You know the risks. You know the consequences. You've seen the broken lives. The homeless wandering the streets. The addicts stealing from their own families. You've seen what it does. This is not new information. There are no surprises here. You don't stumble into addiction like you stumble into a hole in the ground. You walk right into it with your eyes open. And if you choose to do that, then why exactly should the rest of us care? Let's be real. Society bends over backward for people who knowingly, willingly put poison in their own bodies. We waste billions in rehab programs, police resources, medical bills, all to try to save people from themselves. For what? You knew what it was before you ever took the first hit. The first pill, the first needle, you knew. So when the crash comes, why is it my responsibility to pick you up? Now when your addiction spills into crime, when you start stealing, robbing, breaking into homes, the sympathy stops right there. You made your bed, now lie in it. No mercy, no excuses. If your life is so messy that society can't function with you in it, then we have two options. Punish you hard or move you out of sight. Put you in a desolate place where your choices don't spill over into my neighborhood, my children's schools, my community, because your rights end where my rights begin. Now let's look at the dealers. People say, oh, they're the real villains. But let me challenge that. A drug dealer can't exist without a drug user. No demand, no supply. It's that simple. If no one wanted drugs, dealers would vanish tomorrow. But people want drugs. They line up for them. They create the market, and then we throw the dealer in prison as if he created the problem out of thin air. No, the users created it. Take the recent case of Matthew Perry. After his death, law enforcement rushed to charge a doctor, a woman nicknamed the so-called ketamine queen, and others, as if they alone were responsible. The media made a show of their supposed greed and indifference toward Perry's well-being. But let's be honest, what did anyone expect? They were drug suppliers. Of course they were in it for money. The truth is, Perry was the catalyst. He was a grown man who knew the risks. No one forced him to use drugs. He chose to do it, knowing full well what it meant. Yet our system flips the script, villainizing the dealers while coddling the user, as if he were some naive child who needed protection. That is backwards. Accountability belongs first and foremost to the user. Because without the customer, there is no dealer, no market, no so-called ketamine queen. And then, to make matters worse, we legalized marijuana. We said, well, this drug is okay, but these other ones aren't. What message is that? That dealing drugs is acceptable as long as the government gets its cut. That's not law, that's hypocrisy. That's a slippery slope, and we've been sliding down it ever since. First it was medical marijuana, then recreational marijuana. And once you open that door, you can't close it. You've already told people that selling drugs can be legitimate. You've just drawn arbitrary lines about which ones. And what about the kids? People say, but what about the teenagers? Teenagers have parents. Parents are responsible. We already hold parents accountable when their kids skip school. We should do the same when their kids use drugs. And if the parents themselves are using, double the punishment. Because you're not just failing as a parent, you're setting the example that ruined your child's future. But let's not stop with the parents, because the bigger culprit is society itself, and especially Hollywood. Hollywood glorifies drugs, glorifies violence, glorifies every vice under the sun, and the government is complicit. They wag their finger in public, don't use drugs, don't commit crimes, and then allow Hollywood to pump endless images of crime, addiction, and corruption straight into our living rooms. Monkey see, monkey do. Most people aren't strong enough to resist it. And then we wonder why society looks the way it does. Hollywood is morally bankrupt, but the government protects them. Politicians, especially on the left, don't want to touch Hollywood because they're allies. Money flows, influence flows, and the cycle continues. Meanwhile, our streets fill with addicts. Our prisons fill with dealers, and the hypocrisy piles higher and higher. This is why I say, drugs are not just a problem of individual choice. They are a symptom of a deeper rot in society. A rot created by bad leadership, corrupt politics, and a culture industry that glorifies every wrong thing. So let me be clear, this speech isn't about the root rot. That's a bigger conversation. Today I'm addressing one symptom, drugs. And here's my bottom line. Adults need to be held accountable. Parents need to be held accountable. Government needs to stop playing both sides. Users need to own their choices. Dealers need to face the reality that they exist only because society demands what they're selling. And above all, we need to stop pretending that this is some mysterious, complicated, tragic accident. It's not. It's simple. You know drugs destroy lives. You know they lead to crime. And if you use them anyway, then don't come crying for sympathy when the consequences hit. That is the plain truth. That is the Mr. Analytical truth.
They feed you lies. I give you truth.